Shall we resume? Let's resume. Okie dokie. So I've got two titles for this, but there's probably about 5 different topics in this presentation. And it's definitely a work in progress. I had a few ideas. I've had a few discussions with different people in the room about things like extending the IDE, VI Analyzer, coding standards, all of this kind of stuff. And there's been a few other things that have come up today that I've been jotting down, like continuous integration, workflows, desktop testing prior to pull requests, etc. So I've thrown a lot of ideas into this presentation with a view that ultimately I'd like an NI week or a CLA summit type presentation to come out of this. So bear with me if it kind of goes off in little tangents throughout. Somebody did, I think James talked about getting a tool on the LabVIEW Tools network. I've got a little logo. Look at that. I've actually done some graphic design. I've actually just built a tool for integrating Jira with LabVIEW, and it's taken 3 months so far to get that onto the LabVIEW Tools network. 3 months of documenting inputs and outputs of every single VI. When you've got over 300 VIs, that's a lot of documentation. I'm not very good at documentation.
I have a VI that goes through every one of my API, so it's a common name and a common master copy.
You mentioned that while I was sat there, and I was actually busy writing that down, like self-document.
How many APIs are the public API to this?
It doesn't matter because the rules just changed about what you have to.
No, but on this
project, the public API is probably about 25 VIs.
They make you do the normal.
Now, yes, yeah, the rules have just changed.
What, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Now that is. Frankly, that's my code. I'll worry about that.
Yeah, there's a few other caveats as well. Things like it uses scripting quite heavily. I use a VI that's deemed to be a private VI. It's in other VIs within LabVIEW, but apparently it can't be in any of mine. So yeah. It's just a personal vendetta, isn't it? It's a yeah.
Oh, that's all right.
So
the annoying thing about the whole tool network thing is I never got any comment about how good the package actually is. No said this is great crap or this could be better or even that was great.
Oh, it's like,
just got better.
That's a bit crap.
Try again.
Yeah. Fine.
So what we're going to be talking about in this roughly is extending LabVIEW and talking about adding features. So why would we want to extend LabVIEW? So a few reasons I kind of put up there is add features not currently implemented. So if we rewind back to LabVIEW 8 or LabVIEW 7, there was no quick drop. Darren Natchinger thought using the palettes was bad, wasn't a very quick way of writing LabVIEW code, so he created quick drop in LabVIEW code. So quick drop's entirely implemented in LabVIEW. So adding features that aren't currently implemented. Extending features or changing behavior, making things easier. Certain things in LabVIEW take time, repetitive tasks. Making things more useful, as we'll see. We'll talk a little bit about VI Analyzer. Hands up, by the way. Who's using VI Analyzer now? Okay, so somebody should learn something in this presentation. That's good. But making things more useful. And you'll see with VI Analyzer, one of the kind of the barriers to entry of VI Analyzer is that it's a pain in the backside to use. It's not friendly. Making things more useful. That's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek joke. Implement the missing 20%. I think a lot of us find that a lot of features in LabVIEW are implemented kind of to 80% and aren't really finished. So we've got an opportunity to kind of finish them. Automating repetitive tasks. I don't know about you, but I find myself doing certain things over and over again, and automating those tasks, difficult tasks. I would count VI Analyzer as one of those things, but also standardize the way in which a team works. So a couple of examples of things that I've done around this, and just to kind of put a few ideas in people's minds are, for example, Control-N, creating a new VI. If you've got 30 people in a room and you give them the ability to create a blank VI, you'll get 30 different versions of a new VI. Some people will put error in, error out, bottom left, wire it to a case structure with an error case and a no error case. Some people won't do that. So standardizing the way a team works can be achieved by making changes to LabVIEW. So for example, you can change the default new VI so that everybody creates a VI in a standardized way, that every sub-VI created has an error in, an error out, or an error case around it. So how can we extend LabVIEW? So one obvious way is with VI scripting, right? There's now a palette. Yep, you have to tick a box in the options dialog, but there's a palette in LabVIEW that allows us to call scripting functions. So functions within LabVIEW for changing or creating LabVIEW code. So writing LabVIEW to create LabVIEW or to change LabVIEW. And kind of the magic node for that is accessing the block diagram property. That allows us to do things like move things, create things on a LabVIEW block diagram. So scripting is kind of the obvious way. Right-click plugins, actually changing the right-click menus within LabVIEW when you click on an object on the block diagram, when you select something in the LabVIEW project window, adding features through right-click menus. Quick drop shortcuts. So quick drop is written in LabVIEW and it allows you to plug in your own features into quick drop with their own little control key combinations. So if there's things, for example, comments, I know Paul uses this one quite a bit, having a to-do comment. You know, you're working on a bit of code and you think, I need to come back and do this. Being able to actually just have a quick drop key combination that drops down a text label with some pre-written text in there. Just as a quick reminder, I need to come back and fix this. I've got an example of one of those in a little demo in a little while. And then the one I'm going to be looking at today is project providers. So project providers allow us to interact with the LabVIEW project window and change its behavior. So has anybody come across project providers before? Okay, yeah, they're kind of a described as a rusty nail sometimes. You've got to be careful not to tread on them. Bad things can happen. And then VI Analyzer. So I think there's 3 of you in the room using VI Analyzer. But VI Analyzer, a lot of people see it as being a kind of a static tool, but VI Analyzer can be expanded upon and can be changed. And that's what we're going to be concentrating on today. So VI Analyzer, I put 97 question mark because I was actually on a plane when I wrote this slide, so I didn't get a chance to check this out. Maybe Peter has better information, but I think there's 97 tests written by NI.
You're supposed to say no, there's 96.
So there's 97 tests to perform static code analysis on your LabVIEW code. So you write your LabVIEW project, you run the test, and it tells you, yep, your code is rubbish, or no, your code is good, and it applies a set of rules defined by NI. Last time I checked, I think the style guide was 2014. Maybe. Yeah. So there's a style guide that NI created around 2014. Those 97 tests predate that. Some of them are just not relevant anymore. They were written around old features in LabVIEW or old ways of writing code. And some of them are just nonsense.
I have to delete most. I turn off almost all of them.
Yeah, you turn them off. But you can implement your own tests. So if as a team, you've got your own kind of coding standards, way of working, you can take all of those coding standards and ways of working and turn them into your own LabVIEW tests to check that you're following your own coding standard. Yeah. Even better, anything that you can do with VI scripting is fair game in VI Analyzer. So what does that mean? You can check your code for conformance with style guides, and if it doesn't meet that style guide, you can fix it. You can actually implement scripting code inside unit test, inside VI Analyzer tests, to make changes and to fix that code. So let's have a quick demo. I had to embed a video because the demo was on my laptop, so I'll play the video and talk you through it, and we can hit repeat a few times. So here I've got a LabVIEW project with a couple of VIs that have been deliberately written to be bad, to be VI Analyzer failures. So if I press play, so the one that I've highlighted here is called test unused indicators. So I've got two array indicators on my front panel. I've just created an array of random numbers and I've got two indicators, but I've only wired one of them to the connector pane. Okay. Now, every indicator on my front panel effectively has a data buffer. So if it's unused, I'm potentially impacting memory usage in my VI. So I've implemented a test to go and see if there's any unused indicators, i.e. An indicator that's on the front panel that isn't connected to isn't on the con pane. Okay, and I want to fail the test if there are any. So I'm treating this as a sub VI rather than as a main user interface VI. So VI Analyzer, I go to Tools, VI Analyzer, and it comes up with this dialog box that gives me tons of options like start a new task or load a previous task. In this case, I'm going to load a previous task. And then I'm going to select a configuration. A VI Analyzer configuration is just that. It's a set of tests that I want to run against a predetermined set of VIs. So in this case, my configuration includes just one VI to test. I'm just going to test my dummy VI, my VI that's got two indicators on the front panel. So I'm now on my second page of my user interface. Okay, so let's just kind of observe how not complex, but how many operations there are to be able to just test this one VI. So so far I've gone to Tools, so that's one click. Tools, VI Analyzer. I've selected Load Previous Configuration. I've selected Next. I'm now going to pick a configuration that I actually want to select. I go back to my VI Analyzer window. I hit Next again. It shows me which VIs I've selected to run against that test VI. So I've got a Greylock technology. I've got a set of VI Analyzer tests. And I hit the Analyze button, and it analyzes them. So there's probably 7 mouse clicks there to be able to test one VI with a pre-written configuration.
And you had to write the configuration.
Sorry?
And you had to write the configuration.
And I had to write the configuration. Now, it failed the test. And notice that what it's done now is it's put a diagram disable structure around the one terminal that wasn't connected on my connector pane. Okay, so I failed the test and I said, okay, go and fix it, compile out that terminal. So I put a diagram disable structure around it. Okay, but that was a lot of clicks to test one VI. Yeah, and as James pointed out, people don't use it because they get a lot of false fails. Of the 97 tests, some of them are useful, but not many. And when people see false fails, it deters them. That's a lot of noise in the results window. They see a big long list of false fails or things that aren't really important to you as a LabVIEW developer. Yeah,
like 200 false fails. That was too much for my client who wants this as part of their quality code thing.
Absolutely.
So I got rid of some tests, and then I did some actual fixes. Although I didn't actually consider them fixes, but I fixed it just to get out of the window, get out of the failures. And I'm stuck with about 18 false failures that every time I say these are false.
Yeah.
In 2018, you can ignore them. Can't you?
Yeah. I haven't tried that yet.
You can stick a VI because they're ignored tag on block diagram.
Yeah.
You just get them and print out in Chrome. This code's great. just circumvent all that hard work.
That could be a good script.
Just what it is.
Scripted with a picture control.
Yeah, but false fails. You look at that long list and you go, there's just too much information, too many failures. So you start deselecting tests, and before you know it, you're not actually running any tests. So there's too much noise, irrelevant tests. It's cumbersome. You access it via the tools menu, another window pops up, you're going back, next, selecting a configuration, ticking boxes to make sure that the tests that you want to run are being run. You're probably running it on more than one VI. That example was just one VI, but it's not. And while I'm running that, I've come out of LabVIEW effectively. I'm in LabVIEW, but I'm in a different context within LabVIEW. I'm in a different, I'm in a separate dialog window. If it's a long VI Analyzer test, then the progress bar that comes along is modal. So I can't go and do anything else while I'm running potentially an hour's worth of VI Analyzer tests if it's a large project. So it's cumbersome and time consuming as well. So I kind of really wanted to use VI Analyzer and try and encourage teams that I work with to use VI Analyzer. And when they see things like, for example, if I go back a section, just jump to the end of that video, one thing I kind of dusted over a little bit is when we looked at the configuration, notice disable unused indicators. This was an example of me being able to choose to fix the bad code that it found or fix the fault that it found, in this case, just by putting a diagram disable structure around it. But the opportunity is there to do that. So what can we do about it? Well, we can create custom VI Analyzer configurations that only run the tests that we're interested in running. So they might be tests that we've written ourselves. It might be one or two of the 97 tests that NI have provided, probably just one or two. But we can create a custom VI Analyzer configuration to just run the tests that we're interested in. We could extend the IDE using those tools that we talked about earlier, scripting, right-click plugins, project providers. We could use one of those to better utilize that tool, and that's what we're going to do in a second. And we could integrate it into our workflow. So there was a comment earlier on about continuous integration workflows and doing things on the desktop. So how about when I've made a change to source code and I right click on it and say commit, how about it automatically runs our VI Analyzer configuration? Well, we can do this because in Git there's a feature called Git hooks where we can actually call an exe, for example, to perform some task. That task could be calling VI Analyzer via its API. VI Analyzer has an API. We can pass it a list of changed VIs from the Git, from the commit, and say, these VIs have changed, go analyze them. Here's the configuration that I want you to test them against. So we can integrate VI Analyzer into the workflow, not coming out of LabVIEW and going tools, VI Analyzer, and going through that whole dialog box, but instead I'm just right-clicking, commit, and it runs my tests. So we can integrate it better into the workflow. So custom configurations. Only run the tests that matter to you, and it can be context appropriate. So like James was saying, wouldn't it be nice if prior to somebody contributing to his open source project, if they'd run some VI Analyzer tests? Well, James could supply them with those VI Analyzer tests. He could say, okay, here's a suite of tests that are important to me. Here's the configuration. Run it. Don't send me any stuff until it's passing all of them. And he could provide that as an input into what he needs. Only run the tests that matter to you. When you're shipping to a customer, you might want a VI Analyzer configuration that includes 500 tests and tests absolutely everything. When you're right-clicking, because you've just made a code change, and you want to commit, you might just prioritize 10 or 20 tests that are really important to you. Did I do anything stupid in this VI? Yeah. So it becomes context appropriate. So having VI Analyzer test configurations that are appropriate to the thing that you're doing at that moment in time. You can define your own custom tests and you just put them in this directory here, and they automatically become available to you in VI Analyzer tests. And then you can save your configuration as a CFG file. But then I wanted to go a little bit further than just having a custom configuration. What I wanted to do is have the use case in LabVIEW be easier. I don't want to go tools, VI Analyzer, next. It's repetitive and boring. So what I wanted it to be easier. I didn't want that to come out of the LabVIEW environment into this weird dialog box that's like 20 years old. I wanted it to be faster, and I wanted it to be intelligent. I don't want to test everything. I want to test for the situation that I'm in at that moment in time. So in this case, we're going to use the project provider. So nobody put their hand up to talk about, to say that they'd used project provider or were aware of it, other than to say, oh, they're not They're not good, they're tricky. So what is the project provider? The project provider is an API provided by NI that allows you to add items to the tools menu in the project window. It allows you to add new items to the project window, new VIs, new types of document, new actions, and it allows you to specify custom right-click behavior. So you find a VI in the project window, you can determine what the menu looks like when you right-click on it, and you can put new things into that right-click menu. I've put a warning there to say it's an advanced API. I'm being really politically correct there. It is a kind of an advanced API, but part of the issue is documentation and support is not fantastic. There's a NI community group to help with project providers. There are people in NI that can help with it. What I would say is it's definitely something where you want to engage with NI to get the support before you start writing the tool. Yeah, you need NI's input to help you build that provider. They have a getting started pack that's basically got a PDF and a few examples, but you definitely want to engage with somebody at NI before you start working on it. So it's an advanced API, but a lot of it's just down to the supporting information not being there. So a project provider is going to allow us to add things to the tools menu, add items to the project window, and to add custom right-click options to individual items in the project window. And it's a bit tricky. So how do we make one? So each project provider is effectively a set of VIs that we create as developers that modifies the behavior of the LabVIEW project window. So we're writing LabVIEW code to modify the behavior of the project window. Each provider might contain one or more of the following: an item interface, how we deal with an individual item in the project window; a global interface, how the tools menu looks when we view it from the project window; something called the provider interface, what happens when we select multiple items in the project window, when we drag items into the project window, the behaviors when we change things in the project window; and create a new wizard interface. So right down at the bottom, when we're in the LabVIEW project and you want to create an exe, for example, you say right-click, new exe. And there's another item underneath that says new source distribution, and another one that says new DLL. I can't remember what there's a bunch of them. But you might want to provide a new action, like create new VI package, create new DQMH module from the project window as a right-click option. So you can create new wizards from that window. There's also an API that NI provided that allows us to interact with the project, and it's this really useful API mx lv get project ref. But yeah, there is an API that's provided. The documentation is Control-H and then hover over the VI and read what it does. There's not a lot in there. So what do we mean by interface? So I'm going to just pick one of them as an example, just to kind of tell you a little bit about what a project provider interface is. So we are providing specific VIs that modify the behavior of project items. So things like the item interface, the can-do delete VI. So I'm going to choose whether I want to be able to delete items in a LabVIEW project. So I might choose to say, actually, I'm not going to let people delete files, delete VIs or delete documents in a project. Initialize. What does the project look like when LabVIEW starts? I might want to change the icon, the glyph of every single VI in my project window. On command looks after the behavior when I actually right-click on a VI and select something. That's the VI that actually does the thing that I'm selecting. So we've got the on pop-up menu. The on pop-up menu is the right-click menu. When I right-click on a VI in the project window at the minute, that pop-up menu its contents are determined by whatever I programmed in that VI. So for every single item, when I right click on it, the menu that appears is determined by that VI. I can change that VI and change what that custom right click menu looks like. When I then select something from that right click menu, the on command VI runs. So I can choose, so using these two VIs, I can create a new right click menu option, and when I select it, I can make it do something by putting useful code in the on command VI. And then the final one is on select. So how do I want, when I select an item, when I just click on an item in the LabVIEW project, what do I want it to look like? Do I want it to be highlighted in blue? Do I want it to play a tune? That behavior is determined in that VI there, on select. So we've got a bunch of VIs, and we don't have to provide all of them. The only one that's mandatory is the item interface, where we define these are the things that we're going to provide. We have to tell LabVIEW, I'm going to provide a right-click menu and some custom behavior associated with that. So it's not so intuitive, and it's also, you can't look at one project provider and use it as a template, because they may have provided right-click options or not. They might have provided initialization behavior or not. Everyone's going to be different, so you can't take an example project provider and say, okay, I'm just going to copy this and change what it does slightly. Everyone is going to be different, and they may not have provided all of those VIs. So this is the project provider that I've created for my VI Analyzer. And my requirements for this project provider were simply this. I wanted to be able to right-click on a VI and have it run my VI Analyzer tests without going tools, menus, select configuration, etc. I didn't want to do any of that stuff. I just want to right-click on something in the project and say, Analyze VI. I want to be able to select a configuration, and then I want it to remember recent configurations. I don't want to be browsing on disk. I want it to list the top 5 things that I run. Because remember what I said earlier, I want to have certain configurations that are applicable at certain times in my workflow. So just making a quick code change, I just want to run the basic tests. If I'm building my EXE, I want to run a much more extensive list of tests. If I'm shipping it to a customer, I want to run everything. So I want it to remember recent configurations. I want to be able to select a configuration, but I want it all to be available just as a right click. Don't want to come out of LabVIEW into that dialog box. In terms of the amount of code that I had to write, I've got a couple of images, and then basically I provided 3 interfaces. I provided what's called the global interface, which is basically telling LabVIEW, this is what I want to do from the tools menu. I provided an item interface. These are the right-click options for when a particular item is clicked on in the project, and then what's called the provider interface, which handles multiple items being selected. So I want to be able to right-click on a specific VI or VIs. I might want to right-click on one and say Run VI Analyzer Test, or I might want to select 5 and say Run VI Analyzer Test.
Chris, for the tools menu part, you can do another way, right? You can
Put it in
drop a VI in a certain place.
Yeah.
Are there advantages to either, or are you just doing this because you're doing the rest anyway?
Okay, so the tools, yes, you can put a VI in a particular place. So for example, DQMH, your tools, Delacore, DQMH, etc. But it might be important to you the context of where, because that tools menu is available in the project window, but it's also there in a VI as well.
Okay.
So you might need to know, am I running this tool from a project which has got multiple items, or am I running this tool from a VI, which is just an entity in itself? Whereas by doing it in the global interface, I'm providing an interface for just the project window.
Yeah. So
I don't need to worry about, is this being run from a VI or not? It's being run from the project. But yeah, I'm trying to resource. Is it the resource? Is it the resource folder?
Somewhere.
I want to say it's the resource folder. If you,
There's a virtual piece, I'll keep it.
yeah. Project.
This project's just projects.
Yeah, project.
Because what I've done is
when my tool gets loaded, I then need to do a bit of some searching to figure out where it's been loaded from.
Yeah.
The tools menu or the project window.
Yeah. Where I
Which
only
is horrible to try and figure out.
yeah. Yeah, because you have to look at the menu item and then find the owning reference, don't you?
I don't know, whatever I think. What we spoke about a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Whereas this tool, I only want this tool to be run from the project window.
Yeah.
So, a quick sidebar. This is related. We'll see in a second. But VIs have a property tag, which is basically information that there's no browser to see this, but it's basically information that you can store with the VI as a key value pair. So for example, you could set certain flags within a VI to say, okay, this VI has been checked by VI Analyzer, true or false. Yeah. So it's a programmatic way of associating information with a VI. Okay. And we can use this to store information about the VI, such as its VI Analyzer test status, i.e. the last time I tested this VI, it failed the test. The last time I tested it, it passed the test. But we could store anything in there as well. And it's kind of hidden from the end user. It's just a metadata of the file. And it can be optionally persisted. So we can close the VI and that information is stored with the VI. So let's just see some LabVIEW code. So let's talk about the item interface. The item interface is basically telling LabVIEW which of the features we are going to provide in this project provider. So in this project provider, I'm going to provide initialize behavior. So when I open a project, I want it to run for every single item in the project. I want it to run this VI. This VI is going to make the appearance of the items in the project window be the way I want them to be. The on-command interface is provided, so when I select a right-click option, this VI runs, and the items in the right-click menu are provided by the on pop-up menu. So the first VI I call is item interface, and I'm telling LabVIEW these are the other features that I'm going to be providing. So the initialize runs when we load a project. This VI runs on every single item in our project. So we've got an object, basically a number, that defines every item that's listed in that project window tree. It comes in and it looks to say, is there a property set? And in this case, the property I'm looking for is VI Analyzer test status. It says, is there a property set, yes or no? If there isn't, don't do anything. If there is, have a look at it and determine, is that property pass or fail? And let's put a red tick or a green box next to it so that in our project window, we can see which VIs have been tested. Yeah. So this runs when we open our project for the first time. And it just checks to see, is there a property on that particular VI? And then let's load an icon on top of the VI. The on command is the code that actually does the analysis. So in this case, we've got a call. There's just one VI there that tests the VI. It runs the VI Analyzer configuration. And then this is the fun one. This is building the pop-up, the right-click pop-up menu. So when I select an item in the project window, we have to do all of this to basically give it a right-click menu. Yeah. So in this case, I wanted a parent item, which is VI Analyzer tools, choose specific VI Analyzer CFG file. That's all I want. I just want a right-click option when I select a VI in my project window that says VI Analyzer, select specific CFG. But we have to do all of this in order to build that right-click menu. Let's see what the end result of that is. So I've gone back to my original project. We've got the two VIs, but this time instead of going Tools, Menu, VI Analyzer, this time I just want to right-click it. So let's run that. I'm going to go up to the item in the project. There it is. It's the same one. It's got my two indicators on the front panel. Yeah. So one of them is effectively unused. So it should fail my VI Analyser test. So now, show the kind of the you know what? I'm an idiot. I've embedded the same video twice. That's because I've moved from my laptop to this, and I'm a right plonker. What a donkey. Right. Think on your feet, Chris. What's the quickest way to do that? Copy. I told you we were all going to be guinea pigs for me. Well, while you're watching that again.
So I will say while you're doing that, Chris, the other big
Come from me, James.
the other big problem I had with VI Analyzer was you kind of lost over. It's the fact that the test configuration and the VI configuration is in the same file. So unless you're only working on one project, the real pain it's not a real pain in the backside to make a plausible one. Is when you move it to a new project, you then got to reconfigure all the VIs that are included. That always really frustrated me as a design decision.
Yeah, absolutely. So notice when we just in that VI there, I'm going to talk on. In this VI here, we're loading a configuration, but we're also providing it with a list of VIs that we want to test using that configuration. So in the previous example, like James just said, you're almost statically binding this set of VIs to this test. There's my configuration. If those VIs change, that configuration will give you a bunch of errors just when you open it. Here, the configuration is just the test, and then we're saying, run this test on these VIs.
I guess the design decision was because you would store the config files within the project. You have specific configuration files associated with your project. If you go to a new project, you design.
I mean, it's the only way. But even then, I don't know how dynamic it is. I think it's probably just a bad design decision, to be honest. from my use case position, because I think even then, if you add VIs to the project, I don't know that it necessarily automatically fixes that. I think I can't remember now.
Unless you have folders.
Yeah, if you have a folder as a top item.
Okay, so
it does everything.
So you have to have everything in a folder.
Before and after. And that's how I use it. Yeah. All got writing. Oh, I think that's the folder where that.
I've got a
So one thing I didn't understand about this is all the VIs, are they stored somewhere on the computer you make the change in?
Yeah, we'll have a look in that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely on my list.
Yeah. So come on. So yes, absolutely. So once you've created a project provider, it has to be installed onto every machine that you want to distribute it. So in terms of what did I do? I created a VI Analyzer. I created a VI Analyzer VI package. So I can just install this now on any machine, and it'll have that new right-click option.
That can be bundled into an installer or something.
Yeah, absolutely. So you into a single file. You double-click the file. It installs using VI Package Manager. So what does it look like? Let's see. What else? Oh, look at. This is why you do. This is why you do trial runs before an hour week.
Can I drop it to the PowerPoint?
Could you open it in Windows Movie there?
That's a good question. Let's try open with. It's just the sound, isn't it? Never work with children, animals, or VI Analyzer. Okay. Is there a second? Can I just throw up my? I know it won't be shared on Skype, but can I just throw up my screen quickly? Isn't it just?
Watching. You can get back to work.
There's some people who have called in to this meeting.
Yeah.
It's only John.
Yeah, I think it's required. He's got a rhythmic, I can't hear any rhythmic breathing.
I'm still here.
He does things to ask stuff.
No, Rebecca's there. I can hear her.
Yep. Okay. Let's give that a try.
Kill them all, I can kill them all. You've got to go back to that.
Can we all swim?
There we go. No, not that. Wrong screen. Okay. Is that same on both? Yay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got two VIs in a project. Test unused indicators is the one I want to test. So I right click. This time I've got a new right click menu option, VI Analyzer test, select configuration. I select it, it runs the test, and after a 3-second pause, it tells me which one failed. And now it's got a little red glyph over it that gets saved with the project. So when I open the project again in future, that glyph and its status is saved. Oh, stop. So that little red dot is now a property of that VI. So if I open that VI in a project, it will have that little indicator that there's something wrong that needs to be fixed with that VI. But the main point was, I didn't have to change context, and I only wanted to test that one VI, yeah, or a selection of VIs. I could have just selected both of them. But the main thing is I didn't have to come out of LabVIEW into some other dialog box to start navigating back, next, etc. I just wanted it to be there in kind of in my normal workflow. So to continue, my other VI that's in that is test for non-transparent control labels. So I've deliberately got a VI in there that's got a green control label. Yeah. Now, it's got a green control label on the front panel, but in this, I think, Paul, you mentioned about being able to ignore.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I can do is with Quick Drop, I've created a Quick Drop plugin that is VI Analyzer Ignore. Now, if I save the VI, right-click and say VI Analyzer Tools, I've now got a recently used file list in my right-click menu that shows me the recently run configuration. And when I run it, I get a green tick because I chose to ignore the failure. That's LabVIEW 2015.
That's only available in 18, isn't it?
It's available in LabVIEW in 2018, but that's
So
so.
in that in 2018 version, you can ignore specific tests.
Yes.
Yeah. So there is that doesn't tell you which tests. Yeah.
Will this interfere with source code control flips and all that? How does that behave?
So
are we changing any of the
you're changing the file. You're changing the file binary. Yeah. So the VI property is metadata associated with the VI. It's part of the VI file. So if you right-clicked it and it failed the test, then yeah, the binary changes.
And is it the provider in it that's actually doing the painting of the glyph, or is it actually a glyph embedded in the VI file?
It's the provider that's displaying the.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, but the status is stored with the VI.
Yeah, the metadata is stored.
If you change the status, you've changed the
But then
VI.
if you've gone from failing a test to passing it, presumably that's because you've changed the code anyway. How you made the test?
We've changed the
Or change the test.
Yeah.
It might sound a little bit churlish, but because I think this is fantastic, so I like it. Could there be a progress dialog? Is that absolutely impossible to do because it's embedded within VI?
No,
It'd be really nice to see a little whirring screen saying.
So, yeah, absolutely. So there's two ways of doing it. One is to do my own progress bar, but I was a bit lazy and didn't do that. Or you can just show one of the inputs to the VI, the API is show progress. And at the minute I just got it set to false because I hate that dual progress bar thing that it comes with VI Analyzer that's got two progress bars and it's just horrible.
No, I mean, I'd like to see the tests it's doing and the VI it's doing it to,
Yeah.
as you will for it, just as a damn sort of feedback.
Yeah, it's probably something that we want to do for, because in this case, I'm just testing that I've just right-clicked on the one VI, but I could have selected both of them and right-clicked and said test them both. Or
Yeah.
test, if there was 200 VIs, I'd test all of them. So yeah, that's a fair point. But back on to, so obviously, this is a tool that I've created, but, I'd be interested in other people using it because I think VI Analyzer ultimately is a really great way for people to improve their code. But am I going to go through the hoops of LabVIEW Tools Network for something like this? It could take me 3 weeks to get this onto the Tools Network.
Presumably,
So
you lose functionality that's in the main one where you can, in your VI Analyzer configuration, you can configure which tests to run and which VIs to do it on. And then later on, you can also go through each individual VI and say, well, on this one, actually ignore that test. You can't do that here because your configuration doesn't know anything about VIs.
that's right. Unless
the configuration purely contains a test. And then you point it at the VI.
Yeah, that's right. My configuration doesn't know anything about it. It only knows which tests to include. Yeah.
This will be useful for me because currently I actually run my VI Analyzer test after I release my build because I've got too many other things to do and I release it and then say, okay, leave that running.
Yeah.
And I think the marks tell you that. It's
So,
yes, it's just brilliant.
There is a limit to the number of properties you can put in that. Where you've used your VI Analyzer pass, fail, property, your tag of your VI. There are limits to the number of tags.
Well, so I've put multiple. I don't know the answer to whether there's a limit, but I've put multiple properties in. So
I think isn't it just like a variant?
Yeah.
So there's an add-on for if you use SVN. No, I don't use SVN.
Yeah.
But there's an add-on for SVN, Fortress SVN.
Yeah.
that includes the glyphs.
Sorry, the glyphs. Does
Yeah.
it break that?
No.
So you don't. Okay.
No,
You see both. You see both, which is why the glyphs aren't in the same place, because you don't want glyphs on top of each other.
next to each other or?
In that one, they're above and below on the left-hand
You have
side.
to design it nicely.
Yeah.
Because this should be, you could do the same with the unit test there to put the ticks and crosses where you failed.
I think VI Tester does, doesn't it? Put ticks next to the.
VI test does its own UI.
Oh, it does, doesn't it? Yeah.
UTF does it on the
UTF
test
does it
file.
like that.
So it does it on the test file itself, not on the VI.
That's right. Yeah.
So you can see which test has failed, and then you have to look at the test and see what VI. Normally they're the same.
So basically, when you're extending LabVIEW this way, be careful you don't get extensions from two different places where they use the same properties in conflicting ways. Things like that. So you have to be careful about.
Yeah. So you could.
Yeah.
So that's really down to I've chosen a name for the property that it's highly unlikely anybody else would give it the same.
You should use something random or a hash shop.
Absolutely, of course you do. Yeah.
From an open source point of view, it sounds like a project that it would be pretty neat to add a number of sort of standardized tests which look significantly more useful than the generic.
There is a
VI Analyzer with enthusiast page.
There is.
It does have custom tests on it.
Oh yes, those are really good ones.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure if that enthusiast.
That's Darren Nattinger, isn't it?
That is a Darren Nattinger VI Analyzer.
There's a quick drop one as well.
Yeah.
No, it's. I mean, VI Analyzer is brilliant. It's just we've never really use it, have we?
Sparingly.
It's in the background, and all we really ought to use it, but somehow it just doesn't plug into our,
The
the way we
2018,
work.
the 2018 feature where you can tag something like Chris did with the hashtag VI Analyzer, you can do that for a specific test as well. So whereas Chris, as you said, yours just ignores all the tests.
Mine ignores all the tests.
Yeah, that's when it starts to become useful because you can run it once and it'll fail. You get all your noise because you failed loads of irrelevant tests for that particular VI. But then you just say, well, just ignore them then. And then the next time you run it, it ignores them. That's a design decision. If you look at that test, it get history of that VI.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're very open about our code anyway, so we don't tend to, you know, we tend to always on VI Analyzer, but it's actually quite a nice thing at the end of the project just to run through it as a code review and when you inflict your tests upon others.
So if you think about what this is doing, I'm right-clicking on a VI, that's effectively giving me the path to that VI, and then I'm running VI Analyzer on that VI. I do exactly the same thing with Git, you know, because when you do a Git commit, it returns the paths of the VIs that have changed. Git status, I think, is what I use. Git status, and then actually run the same code. It's the exact same LabVIEW code under the hood. So I think.
So I was going to ask. I mean, this obviously we need to have VI scripting enabled for this, right?
Yes.
Now that comes with a disclaimer that it's not supported or whatever.
Yeah.
For the rest of the users, they need to log in.
No.
You don't need VI scripting enabled to use it.
You don't have to know.
You have to only run it.
Okay.
When you want to edit.
Yes, you'd only be able to. Yeah, that's right. You'd only have to edit it.
But you can run it, yes.
But VI scripting is now it's now a supported feature.
Okay.
All that TikTok does is put up that.
Yes.
It's all available anyway, you just can't write new code with
I
it.
think if you make a list of property more like, you learn how to find what you want to find.
Yeah.
So you
So
can still have it unpicked, but still run, use this.
yeah.
Should we run?
Yeah, without the ini file. Yeah, so you could. Yeah, you're right. You would only need scripting enabled to edit it. So.
Very nice.
Let me go back to my slide. But it's right what we were saying about, you know, we need some sort of mechanism to make things like that more readily available without having to jump through all of the hurdles of, you know, because ultimately I'm not going to go to the trouble of the documentation standards that are required to make that available for everybody in the room. But there's people that might want to use it that are stuck on 2015 and can't ignore VI Analyzer tests in 2015, things like that. So we go back
Steve
to...
is looking at donationware, isn't he? As a model.
Yeah, donation.
I think that's actually, my concern with that is, I mean, I don't know, people in companies larger than us, I think that would probably actually be harder than buying a license, though, I thought.
Okay.
It's also it puts the onus on you to do a lot more support than purely open source.
Well,
someone gives you $10 and now you depend on it. You feel like you want to, you feel like you have to.
That was really what drove me for any of the open source stuff, was I didn't want to support it really, or I wanted to. If I got all of it.
Yeah.
And it's trouble with the commercial side, is you are locked into support it.
So I think just the only point that I wanted to make is, you know, that there's a lot of features with VI scripting, there's project providers, there's a lot of opportunity for us to either fix features that we don't think are implemented the way we'd like them to be, or to write things that don't exist in LabVIEW today. So go play.
Another thing I was going to ask is, then, so you change the behavior of the project forever, right? When you right click something on a normal project, this is not what you see.
It's a global installation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there an easy way to switch between, like, fall back to the default?
Uninstall the project provider, and because I've created a VI package, I can just uninstall it using VI Package Manager, and LabVIEW's back to being default.
So it can't be like a flag somewhere. You can
property of the project. Look at the project.
Oh, it could be a project, a conditional, a project.
disable.
Yeah,
It might be a useful feature.
yeah.
Maybe make it project specific rather than global.
No, I mean, it could be global, but with the condition, like if you select this box, only then activate the signature. And you uncheck it, so it will default.
Yeah, but it,
Can you get them to like-
So good one,
yes,
If that's-
Yeah, you did that way around.
Yeah. yeah, you could do that. Yeah. Right, everybody go and play with scripting. See you next quarter.
What's your plan with that then?
Sorry?
What's your plan with that? What are you going to do?
What am I going to do? Get up. There we go. We have a volunteer now.
Quite interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. GitHub. I wish there was a GitHub. Like you said, the problem is how do you promote things like that? But I've had a conversation with James recently about how do you put code out there as like a kind of a business card, a little bit of a, here's code that I wrote. What's the mechanism for that? So
Maybe the promoter is by talking about it to people like us.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I could put a poll on Cslug and people can kind of give their input in a kind of a semi-private forum to is GitHub the thing? Is Bitbucket, because everybody's using all these different tools. What's the thing?
GitHub is the one that seems to be winning.
Significantly dominant.
Yeah.
I'll just go with the
Go
best
with the majority.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's the best.
Bitbucket for free, but
Bitbucket's not.
I use
Bitbucket because yeah. But I do a couple of
Right, I'll stop talking. It's somebody else's turn now.